go. All right, guys, so this is going to be a Dotloop training. Today is Tuesday, September 14th. I've actually pulled up lists of listings in each of your markets as well. So what I'd like you guys to do is, as we go along, I'm going to share my screen. We're going to go over some Dotloop stuff, and I'd like you to follow along on your laptop if you have one with you. If that's not possible, just go ahead and follow along with what I'll be doing on the screen. Does that sound good? Cool. All right, let's get started. If at any point you guys can't hear me, or I cut out, or my screen freezes or something, just speak up, let me know, and I can reset things. Cool. And we will get started. Drag this back down. All right, guys, I'm sharing my screen right now. Give me a thumbs up that you can see it. Cool. All right, so a lot of you guys have seen this before. This is going to be Dotloop. Dotloop is what we use for all electronic signatures. This is how we also manage our entire transaction from start to finish. Dotloop is designed so that if you use it correctly, you're actually not going to have to really think about it that much. And by the time you get to the end of your transaction, everything's already going to be in order for you to submit the file. So we're going to kind of go over all that today. I'm going to show you all the functionality of Dotloop, all the different buttons. We're also going to go and we're going to create a buy-side transaction. We'll write an offer. We're also going to do, in Nevada, it's called a duties owed document, but it's an agency document, buyer's disclosures. You guys have probably heard it. So one thing is I've got all your MLSs pulled up. If you guys need to know a listing that you want to base your buy-side transaction off of so that you can practice linking it to the actual listing, just let me know and I can pull up a list of active listings in your area. All right, so we'll start here. This is going to be the main screen of Dotloop. Each one of these line items here, this is a loop. A loop is basically one half of one transaction. If you're doing dual agency, then one of these will represent both halves of the transaction, although dual agents are fairly rare nowadays. You got three different views. So while we're in our loop screen, let me pause real quick. We have some people in the waiting room. Cool. We got a handful of new people in the room. So what I was saying is we're going to be going through Dotloop to all those who just joined. Go ahead and follow along. I'm going to have a list of listings if you'd like to be doing the same thing I'm doing on your own computer. Just speak up. If you have any questions, let me know. Try to keep your microphones muted unless you So, all right, this is our main loop screen. We're going to go ahead and go through it. Three different views of this main loop screen. Grid view, I think, is the most popular. So that's what grid view looks like. Can everybody see my screen out there? All right. So grid view, that's going to be most popular. List view, another view here. Compact view, this will show you the most loops at once. Additionally, you can sort your list of loops. Now, I've got a lot of loops listed here. You guys will only be able to see the loops that you've been invited to or you've created. And then once you're in this screen, you can actually filter all the loops by various criteria. So you can never actually delete a loop. You can only archive it. So if you want to see the ones that you've archived, you switch the view to only archived right here. Under loop type, you can filter by that. You can filter by loop status, review stage. And this is kind of cool. You can actually create your own unique tagging system for all of your loops, and you can filter by that. Where that would be good is if you have an investor, for example, that you've done a lot of work with, and you'd like to have all of their loops tagged with a unique identifier, and then you can filter by that later. That's what that's good for. So that's that part. And then you can actually search for all loops here in the search bar. Next step, you're going to go up to reporting. We'll go through what this means. So reporting is going to show you some basic sales data. This is going to show you all the loops that you've been a part of and you've closed in the last 30, 60, 90 days or a year. Keep in mind, these numbers aren't always going to be correct because a lot of times you'll create a loop and then you'll forget about it. You won't go back and change the status, which is totally fine, but these numbers aren't always going to be right. This next button up top, this is our loops button. This will take us back to that main screen. Can you guys hear me okay on Zoom? Give me a thumbs up. Cool. Yeah, so this button up top here takes you back to the main loop screen. Next, we're going to go into the tasks button. So when you go into tasks, you're going to see a list of tasks that have been assigned to you. You may or may not if you haven't gotten started with Dotloop yet. Keep in mind when you see tasks listed there, tasks are just a tool for you to use and they will not affect whether or not your file gets approved. So what will happen is as soon as you assign a template to a loop, that's going to bring in all the either buy side or listing side documents that are required for that loop. It's also going to assign a list of tasks to you. These tasks look like upload earnest money deposit receipt, upload preliminary title report. The cool thing about these is if you're working with another agent, these tasks are actually assignable and you can put due dates on them as well. So a time that I would use these is when I have, for example, an inspection contingency coming up. You can set the loop task to have a due date, and then that way you don't really have to stress about it because as you get closer to that date, it'll start reminding you of it. But yeah, basically just remember it's a tool for you to use and it's not going to affect whether or not your file gets approved. Next button up top here, this is the people tab. So if you go in here, you're going to see 3 different rosters of people. Hi, Luisa, come on in. So this first roster, you're going to see trusted service providers. So once you guys get rolling, you kind of have a feel for the vendors that you prefer to use, which would be inspectors, home warranty folks, escrow and title people. What you can do is actually add them in here. So if you add your favorite escrow title people in here, what you can do is actually open escrow with one click once you've got the loop created and you're in contract. And we can get more into that a little bit later. Next roster is this contacts button. So any client that you add to a loop ever is going to show up in this list. This is a great place to go if you need to go back and get your client's contact info from years ago or something like that. That's all going to be listed here. And then finally, this third roster is going to be everybody in the Reno office or whichever branch office that you're in. So everybody will be listed here. Additionally, all the support individuals, all the folks on the support emails or your brokers or anybody like that are going to be listed here as well. So if you guys need that information or their contact info, it's all listed. Reno office, does it show up on yours? If check, make sure you're in the right profile. Is the top of the screen green? Okay, we'll figure that out in just a minute. All right, this next button that I just went to, this is called templates. Now, you guys won't be doing a ton of work in here. This is more of a back-end administrative level thing, but this is kind of where we set up all the templates for various, loop types and transaction types. Now, keep in mind, if you guys ever would like your own custom template made, that's totally something that we can do. You just need to tell us, and we can put that together for you. So again, you won't be doing much in here, but there's one thing I'd like you to take a look at. So right here, see where it says RSAR Interactive Forms? That's going to be the association folder. That's where all the most updated forms are. So when you need to add a blank document to a loop, that's the folder you want to go to. Now, you guys in Toledo, Cleveland, Alabama, your folder is going to say something different. I think if in Cleveland, it's going to say yes, MLS. Birmingham, it's going to say something a little bit different. But you want to look for the Association Interactive Forms folder, and that's where all the most updated forms are. Any questions so far? Everyone doing all right? Okay, so that means you're in the profile, and in just a few, I'll walk over there and I'll help you with that. What's up, Angela?
Hey, so what if I want to blank, like if I don't want one of our forms, MLS forms, but I need to pull one like I've uploaded onto my desktop. how do I add that to the,
Oh, you mean
Resource.
just like a flat PDF that you need to get signed
Right.
to upload? I can
Right.
show you how to do that as soon as we get into a loop. There's a button that
like,
says
you know, oh, like, you know, an MLS printout or something like that. I like to send those with it.
yeah. So there's a button that says add document. As soon as we get into a loop, I'll show you how to do that.
All right.
All right, so that's it for the templates section. This next section, this is going to be your account where you can go into your settings, change your profile and things like that. I've got a handful of profiles, but what you guys should see is a profile with your name and then another profile that says default profile. So let me show you what it looks like if you go into default profile. So a default profile, you never want to be in here, by the way. It's going to say you have 2 free loops remaining. You guys see that up top? So this profile is not connected to the company in any way. If you ever see that, you need to make sure you get out of there, because there's anything that you create in here, there's no way that we could step into it and help you with it or make changes. And we can't audit anything in this file either. And then also you have to pay for it. So never go in there. But once you guys get in here, make sure you've selected the correct profile. And then go up to the top here where it says My Account. Right there. And then in My Account, you should be able to change all of your notification settings, your document preferences. You can even go in and change the font and size on all of your documents. So a lot of good settings in here. I recommend everybody go through there. Another thing, this line right here where it says your NERDS number. Now, every realtor in the country has a NERDS number. What that is it's your national unique identifying number that shows that you're part of the National Association of Realtors. So if for any reason you lose access to documents within Dotloop, that is the problem. So just if you need to, look up your NERDS number and make sure you type it in there. The NERDS number is very easy to find. You just have to go to Google, search in NRDS real estate ID number, and it'll take you to a place where you can search for it by first and last name and email address.
Hey, Mark, Michael, so my
Yes, sir.
email was it's not my Kirsch. Is that part of my problem then?
Mhm.
I didn't.
Yep, absolutely. So we can, as soon as I get the loop started, I'll come over there and we can, we'll figure it out. All right, so next step, we're actually going to go in and create a loop. If you guys are able to, I'd like you to follow along with me and possibly create your own loops at the same time. Cool. So when you're ready to create a loop, go ahead and hit this big blue button on the top right that says Add Loop. Now, since we're going to be creating a buy-side loop, and also you guys here in person, if you could follow along with me. On yours, Brad, if you could go up, change profiles to where yours is green across the top, and it should say Kirsch Realty on the top left. But the idea here is, so we're going to create a buy-side loop. We're going to be writing an offer on an actual listing that exists. So we're going to need to link our loop with that listing. How we do that is you step into, whoops, let me change my view real quick. I hear someone listening to music. So what you want to do is, if you guys could go in and look up an active listing. I've also got all the other MLSs pulled up. So if somebody needs an active listing in St. Louis, Toledo, Cleveland, or Birmingham, I've got those pulled up as well. But for our example today, we're going to use 1680 Locust Street. So once you start typing in the address, Google's going to try to automatically fill it in. And what you want to look for, so I've started typing it in. You'll see some Google search results down here. But what you want to look for is the one that's identified the correct listing within your particular MLS. So this one says Northern Nevada Regional MLS number. That's the one we're looking for. So as soon as I click that button, it's going to say, would you like to save time by importing the listing details from Northern Nevada Regional MLS? Yes, we absolutely want to do that. So as soon as you hit import data, it's going to bring all that kind of hard to find information that goes on the offer. It's going to bring all that in from the actual listing. So are you guys currently following along doing this? Cool.
No color.
You guys need a listing or anything? Or you good?
Should we be doing something other than that one?
No, you can do that same one. Yeah. Is anybody else out there following along? You guys need a listing to practice with? Yeah, all right. So we'll keep rolling. So I've linked that to the loop. So the loop and the listing are linked. Next step, I want to hit the blue button. This is continue. Next step. So this is super important. We need to select the correct template that's going to go with our loop. There's a bunch of different types of templates. So you've got vacant land, multifamily, residential listing, residential buyer. So for this case, we're going to go with residential buyer. And you hit continue. It's going to ask you if you want to upload a photo. You absolutely don't have to upload a photo if you don't want to. In fact, if you link it correctly, oftentimes it's just going to bring the photo from the actual listing over. So next step, go ahead and hit done. It'll create the loop. And then we're going to view the loop. Cool. Our loops is created. Hit the view loop button. And there it is. So this is what a loop looks like. We're going to pause real quick. Does anybody have any questions so far?
Do you,
No, it's not.
did you see my message? Megan's trying to get in the class online.
Oh, yeah.
Please.
I accepted it.
Thank you.
So she should be good now. Megan, are you there?
Shows.
Yes, but I have a baby, so I'm gonna mute myself.
Oh, boy. That's totally fine. Glad to have you.
Okay.
Cool. All right, so we're going to go through. This is what a loop looks like. I'm going to kind of zip through all the different parts of the loop, and then we'll start back at the beginning and start working on it. All right, so top, this is going to be our address. Now, if you're working with a buyer and you end up writing multiple offers on several different properties, that's fine. You can actually change this loop title to the name of your buyer if you'd like to, if that's easier. Documents. So these are all the documents that, because we selected the buy-side template, these all got brought into the loop. This first folder that says required docs, these are required on every transaction no matter what. These are going to be things like duties owed, offer, ABA Kirsch Realty. Next folder, escrow and closing docs. These are docs that are going to be required, but usually not until the end of the transaction. So things like walkthrough, closing letter, and exit form. Next folder, this is if applicable. So these are forms that are going to be sometimes needed. You know, for example, lead-based paint addendum, open range disclosure, things like that. This next section, local service providers. So remember when we were in the people tab, and I was showing you guys where you can add your favorite escrow title person. So what you can do in here is if you click escrow title, once you've gone into contract, click your escrow title person. You can type in here, hey, please open escrow on this transaction. Type that in. As soon as you click request info, it's going to invite that title person into the loop and give them access to all the docs they need to open escrow. So you can basically open escrow with one click with this button. Next section down here, this is the people section. So this is everybody that's going to be party to the transaction. A handful of people are added automatically. So admin for Kirsch Realty Corp, Kirch auditor, admin for Reno, Nevada. That's all of us here working in support roles so that we can help with your loops and help get things approved quickly. And then Barb Tuttle, she's actually the listing agent. Funny enough, she's also a Kirch Realty agent. But the reason it brought her in is because she's the listing agent and we linked it with the actual listing in the MLS. So had her information. This final section on the bottom, these are tasks. So these are the things that I had mentioned. These have no bearing on whether or not your file is going to get approved. It's just a task for you to use. You can actually go through each of these tasks, select who they're assigned to. You can select anybody that's under the people tab in the loop. You can also put just about any due date in here, and then you can add additional tasks as well. So great tool for you to get you guys to use to kind of remember things along the way.
I have a question. When you keep saying if it's accepted, if it's approved,
Yeah.
are you talking about each task or are you talking about?
I mean, at the end, so when you go to submit your whole file for review so you can get paid, if you haven't gone through and ticked each of these buttons,
Then you're not gonna get approved.
you will be approved. This list of tasks is really just a tool for you to use. So if you go to submit this for review and you've not checked any of these boxes, that's totally fine.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's really just, like I said, a tool. If you don't check all these boxes, it's totally fine. Did you guys hear that question? So Cynthia Taylor had asked, so if we don't check these boxes and you submit for your file for review, will it actually pass the audit process? The answer is yes. So these tasks are really just a tool for you guys to use. You don't have to check these boxes. You don't actually have to use it if you don't want to. So cool. All right. So once you've gotten started, you've got your loop created. First step is we're gonna add all of our clients in here into the people section. So for today, I'm gonna practice. I'm gonna pretend I'm the buying agent, and then if I could get a volunteer, I need a buyer. You guys wanna? Cool. All right, Colleen, you're gonna be the buyer. Yeah, do you have a personal email address I can use? That's right, you've got that awesome email address. It's rare to see someone's just first and last name at Gmail. Cool, so what you wanna do, always need to add a first name, last name, email address, and this is a critical part here. You need to always define the role of the person that you're adding to the loop. So we're gonna hit roll for today. Colleen's gonna be our buyer. As soon as I selected buyer, the window popped open and asked for a lot more information. Now, this is kind of strange. I'm just gonna go through and type in a bunch of letters into each one of these sections. And the reason is I want you guys to see where this information is being auto-filled to. So I'm just gonna literally put a bunch of scribbles in here. Cool. But you guys will actually need to fill out the information. Don't do what I did. What's that?
They all match.
They do?
They pretty close.
That's amazing. All right, so once you do that, you can hit add person. Two other buttons that exist here. So if you're adding actually another agent that's going to be on your team, you want to select this box, and it'll give that person full access to the loop. This button down here sends intro email. So when you add your client, you can elect to have them get an introductory email just letting them know that they've been added to the loop. I'm kind of split on whether or not I think this would confuse people. I probably wouldn't select this button because clients are going to think they have to take action on something. So leave it up to you guys on whether or not you check that box.
So I can tell you what it looks like.
Yeah, there we go. And you can also type a message here. Hey, Colleen, you are buying a house.
If you don't fill in all those things like phone number, the country, the street, or, the whole Mary Ann, you go to hit add person, will it not accept it, or can you just go with the full name, the email, the phone number?
So it'll still accept it. The only required information here is going to be name, email, and role. The other stuff though is important because it's collecting all this data so that it can apply it to all the documents. So by doing this, you're actually filling out your documents.
Okay. I'm assuming you go back and edit it, right?
Oh yeah. So everything's in here, and that's a great point too. So a lot of times you can put someone's email address that you think they're going to use, and they'll say, no, I want to use a different email address. So you can just go back in there and change it. Same with phone number, address, and all that stuff. All right, so once you've added all this information here, hit add person. Now I'm going to go in and add myself as the buying agent. I'm under an admin account, so it doesn't do this automatically. You guys as agents, as soon as you apply the buy side template, it's going to automatically add you as the agent as well. So you guys actually won't have to do this step. I'm just gonna do it because I'm not in an agent profile. Oops. Again, more scribbles, so you guys can see where all this stuff gets auto-filled to the documents. Cool. Once you've done that, you hit add person. All right, so now we've got all of our folks added into the transaction. If you have two buyers, you're gonna wanna add them as two separate people in here. And now we're ready to go start filling out documents, so.
So Michael, just so you know, I did get an email already,
Oh, wow.
just saying, Michael, he has invited you to contribute to a transaction for 68 Locust Street.
So now, do you think if one of your buyers got that, would it confuse them?
So it actually has a get started button. So I'm gonna click it to see where that, because if you're not sending something immediately.
Yeah. Oh,
Does
it's
that link time out?
because you're logged in already.
Yeah, because it's taking me into that loop, so.
So if you were just a buyer that doesn't have a Dotloop account already, it wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
It would prompt you to create an account and do all that stuff. What was that, Brad?
Does it time out? Does it link time out? Yeah, I'm assuming it may. Or-
No, it shouldn't time out.
I
Yeah.
would say it's an unnecessary thing though,
Yeah.
because
Keep
it
your
is,
permission.
it may be time sensitive, but you're gonna, I mean, like for me, I text my clients and just say, hey, I'm sending you something now,
Yeah.
and this might not. If they don't get messages, you know, if they're not automatically getting email updates, they're not gonna get that, so.
Yeah.
I wouldn't use that.
Yeah, I would say use that button at your discretion, because I think it'll confuse people. They'll see that and think, oh crap, I've got to go sign something, but it's kind of unclear. Oh, we've got someone in the waiting room. Cool. All right. So once you've added all your people, and now you guys can do these steps in any order. I'm kind of doing it in what makes the most sense for right now. But you know, if you guys need to do things in a little bit different order, that's totally fine. But what we've done, you know, we've got our documents, we've added all the people to the transaction. So a good next step is you want to go to the very top to this view details section. What this is this is kind of where all the data that Dotloop collects it all goes to. And so by filling out this section here, this is going to get us a lot closer to having all of our documents complete. So what Dotloop will do is it's going to map all of this information directly to all the documents. So we'll go through, I'm not going to fill all this out, but I'm going to fill some of it out. So move home Nevada pre-qualifications. For those of you that are agent owners, this is important. You always have to use this button if you're an owner. Just saying whether or not they got pre-qualified by move home mortgage. You fill in the lender. So move home. Brett Adams.
Says to continue, I need to sign up.
Oh yeah, it's making you sign up because I don't think you have permissions to the loop yet.
Okay.
You know what I
Oh,
mean?
'cause
Because you're in there under your agent account probably right now. And I didn't invite your agent account in. I invited ColleenFielding@gmail in. You know. So this is where you want to fill out all the financials if you can, if you got this information. Commission total. So this is going to be a dollar amount. And normally these other ones tell you if it's a dollar amount or percentage. Sale commission total, that's going to be total buy and listing side together. This is the dollar amount split for buy side, dollar amount split for selling side, commission rate, and then these are percentage. Earnest money amount, we'll put 5,000. Earnest money held by Tycor Type. Contract agreement dates, let's say we plan on going into contract today, if it worked that way. Closing date, October 1st. Offer date could be today. Expiration date tomorrow. Occupancy date 10/5. So by filling out all of this information now, it's going to apply all this to all the documents. So if you have this information, it's best to fill it out all now. More information here. I'm going to start scribbling though, because that's faster. You guys will still see where this information is going to go to. All right. Once you've done everything here, go ahead and hit the save button. And now we're going to go in and start filling out our documents. Before that though, does anybody have any questions so far? Everyone doing okay? Awesome.
Other than,
Oh yeah.
it's all right.
Okay.
And this is the activity one,
The one that I just went to? No, view details.
right? Oh, new details.
Yep.
The listing information wouldn't just pull from the MLS?
A lot of it does, yeah. Sometimes this has happened a couple times where I have linked it to a listing that was incomplete. And so I didn't get all the information, and that's what it looks like happened here. But let's see if it did bring through, because the important things that we're looking for is like geographic description, parcel number. So yeah, it brought all this stuff over. It says you were linked to a listing, MLS number. The financials, those are going to be predicated on what the buyer decides. And generally all of this stuff gets filled out as well. So that's why I think this is an incomplete listing.
For an investor.
Otherwise,
is
the
there-
other one would fill that too.
Yeah. Yep.
For an investor, is there, other than putting down the earnest money deposit, is there a place there where you fill in where you prove of funds?
Oh, I've never noticed that that's not there. Like the amount of time until you have to provide proof of funds.
Yeah, or, and usually if it's a, if you're representing the buyer on the seller's side, they're usually asking for proof of funds.
Sure.
Solicitation.
No, I haven't seen that in there.
Wouldn't that be in a document?
Well, no, the proof of funds will be a document, but we have it, that generally comes from a bank, like some kind of bank statement or something. And then you would take that and upload it into the loop
And
later.
yeah, for me, most of my investors all have like, I don't know, Merrill Lynch or forms where they have their proof of funds on the papers, so you have to provide that.
Right.
So would you just? I don't know where you put that.
If you
You,
are uploading it, then you have the ability to change the name of it, the name of the document. So it might just be
There.
that in that part of it,
We'll just email it to the agent.
yeah,
Let them deal with it.
yeah. You will have to have that uploaded into the loop eventually. And I can show you guys how to upload flat documents directly into a loop. Cool. So that's view details section again. So next step, I want to show you guys real quick how you can add documents to a loop. So there's 3 different ways to add documents. You'll notice this add document button. If I add a document from that button, it's going to add it to this folder. If I add it to this button, it's going to go to this folder. And you can also add additional folders here if you want to as well. If there's some other way that you'd like to have your loop organized, that's totally cool. You can do as many other folders as you'd like to. And also it's kind of a good idea too, if you've got the loop named after your buyer, you can create a separate folder for each offer that you've written. Because you guys are probably writing at least a handful of offers for every single buyer that you've got, I would guess. All right, so to add a document, you click this add document button. First option, you can either add it directly from a template. So this is going to be a blank document. Let's say you need a fresh, clean counteroffer or an addendum or something. You can get that from templates. And this is what we talked about. Just make sure you're pulling it from your association's interactive forms folder. The association makes sure that all the forms in this folder are the most up-to-date versions. So you want to pull it from there. Again, a lot of times it's going to ask for your NERDS number when you do that. So make sure you fill that out completely. The second option for adding a document is this browse button. So by clicking this, it's going to take you in where you can select any document off your desktop or from your computer. So you can come in here, you can select any one of these folders, and it's going to bring the document directly into the loop. The third and probably best option for adding documents to a loop is this email button. So if you click that, it's going to give you a temporary email address. Any documents that you send to that email address are going to go directly into the loop. And one cool tip here is if you take that temporary email address, give that to your title and escrow person and tell them, hey, if you need to send me any documents for me or my client to sign, send them to this email address. And then they'll have the ability of sending any documents directly into the loop. So from there, you can kind of work on things as you need to. All right, so those are kind of the three methods to add documents to a loop. Angela, did that kind of answer your question? Cool. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start working on documents. Like I said, we're going to do an agency document and we're going to write an offer. Now, we're not going to go through every single box and line item in the offer. I just kind of want to show you guys the functionality that exists with auto-filling things. So first document we're going to work on is duties owed. That's our Nevada agency document. If you click that, first thing that happens is the autofill window pops up. What you want to do is start from top to bottom, fill everything out here. And this is a critical part. You need to define each of the roles that these people are in. So buyer number one, that's Colleen. Buyer two, since there isn't one, we need to select no one. Anytime that a role is empty, we select no one because that's going to clean up the document. It's going to take away that second initial line and second signature line for each of those buyers. Buying agent is myself, buying broker. That person would automatically be filled in. So Kyle Kirsch would automatically be here if I was in my agent profile. Then down here, you want to fill out all the information listed. As soon as that's complete, go ahead and hit this autofill button. So what the autofill does is it takes all the information that Dotloop has and applies it to the documents where it's able to. So it's got.
If you make a mistake, how do you go back? Get rid of that?
Good question. So if you make a mistake, all you have to do is,
Just delete it.
yeah.
And then put the correct information, that'll go back to autofill, put the correct information in, and overwrite the one you just deleted.
It will, yeah. So anything that,
Edit
I
it.
haven't happened.
what's that?
It will edit it.
Yep. So you make a change here and this should filter back up the line to where all the view details were. So for example, my license number, I had just done the scribble in. I fixed the license number now. So when I go back to view details, it should be corrected. Should be. Also, anything that turns yellow has been auto-filled. Now, always still double check everything in the document. You know, if everything in the offer turns yellow, it's still a best practice to go through and make sure everything is filled out completely. All right, so once this is done, it's also not going to check every box. So you want to still fill out the document. So we'll go through. Colleen's the buyer. Brokers Kyle, company's Kirsch Realty, no other licensees. So now right here, it's giving me permission to be a dual agent. But let's say Colleen doesn't want me to be a dual agent. All you have to do is click on this box here and you can drag it over to the other side. Any initial boxes, signature boxes, they're all movable. If I don't like where this signature line is at, I can just move it wherever I'd like to. You need to get rid of something, you click on the field and then click this X up top. Also, you can, I'll show you another awesome thing you can do. So let's say you want to throw some initials on here, but you don't want them to initial every spot. They're only supposed to initial one of these three initials boxes. Well, how you make that happen is if you draw a box around all three and then click these four squares at the top. So now it'll make it so these four initials are grouped together. Then if we assign all these to Colleen, what it's going to do is it's going to be one or the other. As soon as she checks one of these or initials one of these boxes, it satisfies the requirement for all the boxes. Does that make sense? And then also same thing, you can draw a box around a bunch of stuff, hit the X, deletes them all.
I'm
Why
sorry.
would you do that though?
Why would you do that?
So there's a section, page 9 of the offer, where liquidated damages, right? You only want them to initial either A or B, and you haven't talked to them about it yet. You can put the initials on there, group them together, and then when they initial one of them, the requirement to initial the other one goes away. It also works with checkboxes. So you can put multiple checkboxes, group them together, and as soon as someone checks the box, they don't have to check the other ones. And where that's good is actually on the lead-based painted demo.
Can they check it? Can they check the other one or check the first one?
Yes,
Okay, so they can change their mind when they figure out they need to read one more. Yeah.
exactly.
Can you go back over where you grouped that together?
Yeah. So this time we'll do it with some check boxes. Are you guys able to hear me there in Zoom land? Everything making sense so far? Okay. So we'll go through radio buttons. So a lot of times you'll have to put little check boxes. Let's say somebody has, like on a lead-based painted denim, they've got 3 different options for each question, and you only want them to check one box. So you put the check boxes on there. So right now, if I assigned all 3 of these to Colleen, and then I send this for signatures, it's going to require her to check each of these boxes. But if I do like this, I draw a box around all 3. See, they're assigned now, so it's not letting me do it. So I'll go back and do those 3 buttons again. Radio button.
And if you wanted to get rid of them again, you go back and X out up at the top,
Yep. You just need to select them first.
select first.
All right, so I've got those 3 check boxes. I draw a box around the 3 of them. And then these 4 squares appear here at the top. You guys see that? So once you've highlighted those 3, you check that. And now it's grouped these 3 boxes together, where as soon as Colleen checks one box, the requirement to check any of the boxes goes away. And then it should, when Colleen does it, see how if I check the boxes, the other one goes away. It's because they've been grouped together. Then if you want to get rid of them, just draw a box around it, hit the X at the top. Does anybody have any questions about that? Everybody good? All right, so once you've completed your document, everything looks good here, I think. You can get rid of extra fields if you'd like to. Draw a box across them all. Press the X at the top. So if this was the only document we were doing and we were ready to have it signed now, we could hit this Save and Share button. If we wanted to send out multiple documents and go work on another one now, we just hit the Save button for now. That button is right here. All right, one pro tip, you never want to hit the back button on your browser. The reason is because if you hit the back button within Dotloop and you haven't saved your work, it's going to prompt you. It's going to say, hey, are you sure you want to leave before saving? And give you a chance to save it. If you just hit the back button on the browser, you're host. It's not going to save anything. Cool. So that's our first document. We're going to do one more document. We're going to go into an offer. Now, first thing you'll notice, our autofill window is going to be much larger. That's because this document requires a lot more information. But we're going to go through the same exact process. We'll start from top to bottom. We need to define each of these roles here. So buyer 1 is Colleen, buyer 2, no one. Buyer 3, buyer 4 is all no one. Seller, we're going to leave those as no one as well. We'll let the other side handle that stuff. Buying agent, listing agent are both in there. Buying broker and listing broker. Honestly, I wouldn't really worry about the broker on the other side of the transaction. You can let the other agent fill that person's information out. Just worry about your broker. So that's going to be, and again, if you guys were doing this, it would automatically fill in your broker because you guys are going to be under your agent accounts. So that would go with Kyle, and the listing broker, we're just going to select no one. Next step, you want to go through this whole list. Now, if you guys think this looks familiar, it's because this is the same information that was on the view details section. If we had filled out the view details section completely, all of this would be filled out as well. And you can see, I believe some of the scribbles that I had put in the view details section are showing up right here. So go ahead, fill out this document completely. Once you get to the end, you hit the autofill button. It's going to apply all the data that it's got to the document. Now, I've been getting this notification for a while. I'm not exactly sure why, but it doesn't really affect anything. So if you guys see this, go ahead and read it, but just hit continue. All right, so same deal as before. All the information that got filled in automatically turned yellow. A lot of information we still have to fill out on this offer. We're not going to do it all right now, but go through all the yellow stuff, make sure it looks good. Fill out the rest of the document. Make sure all of your initials look good, all your signature boxes look good. One thing you will have to do is go through and move all these boxes around as you need to. So you'll notice it's got our buyer's initials right here, but we're missing buyer's initials on these down here. So what we can do, let's say, so since there's a loan application and that is included, we will assign these to Colleen as well. So all you have to do if you want to assign a field to somebody, click the field, it'll turn green, and then you click on the buyer that you want to assign it to. Now, one thing is these fields are already assigned to the role of buyer, but they're not assigned to an actual buyer. When you have two buyers, it's important to make sure that all the fields are assigned correctly, because the first person that's signing could technically initial both of these, and we don't want that, right? So it's important to go through and make sure that these are assigned to specific people, not just the role of buyer. Does anybody have questions on that? All right. So yeah, go through. Feel free to get rid of all the boxes that you don't need. So we're going to get rid of these waved ones. I did that by just highlighting it, hitting the X on the top. So we'll scroll all the way through a document. Make sure everything looks good. Move things around as you need to. Now, Colleen, this is that buyer default section I was talking about. This is where we want buyer to only select A or B. And this is a conversation you'll for sure have with them ahead of time. And you'll know which one they're going to select. In fact, never let them select this one. But if they want to, they can. And this is a situation where it's either one or the other. Cool. So you keep going down. You can see these scribbles that I put in. All the scribbles that I put at the beginning, they've all transferred over. So all you've got to do is fill this document out all the way. Once you get to the end, you hit the save button up top. If this is not the only document we're working on. If this was ready to go out for signatures, you can hit this share button at the top. But since we want to send out multiple signatures at once, we're going to do that. I'm sorry, not multiple signatures, multiple documents. Yeah. So like I said before, make sure you hit this back button. That's going to take us back to this screen. So now next step, we've got all of our documents signed. We want to send them out for signatures. So these are the two documents we just completed. You check the boxes next to them. And then up top here, you got a bunch of options. The one we want to select is share. Share is kind of the Dotloop way of saying send it out for signatures. So from this screen, we can see who's got fields assigned to them. Colleen, our buyer, has 26 fields assigned. Me, the buyer's agent, I've got 1 field assigned. So check the boxes next to the people that you like to sign documents. Now, this is a very critical part. This is where you're going to define the roles, the permission level that the person's going to have to the document. So for Colleen, she's on can sign. I'm going to go through what each of these options are, though. View only is a good option if you want to send an offer over to a listing agent, because all they can do is look at it, view it, download it, or print it. That's it. They can't make any changes to the document. Can sign means that they can sign or edit fields that have only fields that have been assigned to them. So this is generally the one you want to select. Can fill and sign means that they can fill out or sign pretty much any field that they want to for the role that they're in. So any buyer field, any buyer can fill out. So this is not an optimal field you want to fill in here. And then can edit in private. This will completely lock the document out. And unless your client can figure out how to fill it out and share it back to you, you'll probably have to create a new loop. because it kind of destroys everything. So never select that one. So we'll go with can't sign. Can't sign is always the best option. Even if you're sending docs to your broker or to another agent, it still makes the most sense and leads to the least amount of confusion. So we'll select can't sign for both. Next step, all you have to do is hit share. But first I want to show you this button. So attach PDF to email. If you check that box before you hit share, it's actually going to take all the documents being sent out for signatures and share them. It's going to attach those PDFs to the email itself. So what the email will look like is it'll say, Cynthia Taylor has invited you to sign a document. But on that email, it's also going to have those documents attached, which may be a good option, if you possibly don't trust that your client's going to be able to get through the electronic signature and they just need to have the documents so that they can wet sign it if necessary. That's a good option. All right, so when you're ready, hit the share button. And that's it. So the documents have gone out for signatures. Now this is for sure going to eventually happen. Somebody's going to have a real junked up email inbox and they're going to lose your invitation. So to reshare it, all you have to do is go up to this button here, reshare more options. Select the person that you'd like to resend the signing invitation to. Again, you have the option to attach it as a PDF to the email. And then you can type in a custom message. Hey, don't lose it this time. Then you just hit reshare and it will have reshared it. All right. I know that was a ton of information. Does anybody have any questions so far? We're almost done. What do you guys think? Everything makes sense?
Yeah.
Cool. So, yeah, I mean, I know that was a ton of information. Dotloop is a very intuitive system where, as soon as you start using it, you go through a few loops, it's going to make a lot more sense, just takes a little bit of practice. So, Dotloop, you can't really break it. Just, be careful if you're writing a practice offer that you don't accidentally sign that offer to the actual listing agent if you've linked it. But feel free to create as many practice loops as you'd like to. So go ahead and get in there and just get your hands dirty and start practicing. How's everybody doing on Zoom? Everybody good? Give me a thumbs up. Everyone's still awake. Cool. All right. So there's just a couple more small things I'd like to show you guys before we finish.
I have one question again. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, go for it.
Suppose you've got a client's account and they do a wet signing. How do you upload that into your docs? Just scan it?
Yeah.
Can you just scan it? And where do you go to put it in?
So you can just scan it either to your computer or to your email. So like when you scan it on a scanner, it goes to your email usually. Yeah. So two options there. You can then save it to your computer. Then you hit add document right here. Then hit browse. Find the document on your computer because you've saved it. And then all you have to do is just double click and then it adds it to the, see, that's the one I just added right there.
It goes to your add docs.
Yep, so now it's in the loop. A better option though is if you've got it on an email, what you can do is select this email button. Take that email that has the document on it, forward it. You forward an email, forward it to this email address. And then whatever document is attached to that email will go into the loop.
Is that how long the email address is?
It's pretty long, but it still works.
So you just copy it.
Yeah, you do that, hit Control-C, or you just hit copy to clipboard. And then I will show you where it shows up. Maybe I can type it in here. Yeah, so that's a part of it. Pretty long, but it works. Oh, go ahead.
You mentioned doing multiple offers.
Mhm.
How do you, because I've been lucky that my offers have been accepted for some. So I haven't had to do multiple offers, so how do you keep that straight in somebody's loop?
So in my opinion, your best, did you guys hear the question? So the question was, if you're doing multiple offers for one buyer, how do you keep that straight within a loop? So you can keep everything in one loop. And what you can do is create additional folders. So you make this go away. You add additional folders within here.
Yeah.
So you hit add folder and you could put 555 Main Street. You could create a different folder for each address,
Okay.
but then you lose the functionality of being able to link to the listing.
So is it better to have a separate loop for each? Would that be better to link?
Yeah,
Okay.
I would say do a separate loop for each one, and that way you're not having to import all the documents each time.
Yeah.
You can just apply a template to the loop. You know, write the offer, it doesn't get accepted, just write a new loop. And loops don't cost money. You can literally create a million of them. And so,
Just have a big archive folder.
yeah. And then also, as soon as you add your clients to one loop, they're going to be in your contacts. So then every time you add them to another loop, it's a lot quicker. Cool. So once you guys are done, I mean, so the way Dotloop is designed, as you go, if you're just getting these documents filled out and left in the loop as soon as they're signed, by the time you get to the end of the transaction, everything's there. And all you have to do is go up to this big blue submit for review button. And then that's it. You upload your closing package, submit it for review. All right, because I scribbled so much. Yeah, so it's requiring me to get the move home mortgage pre-qualification. But what you would do, you get that pre-qualification in there, you hit next, then you can submit it, and we can generally get you paid within about 8 hours. And then one other thing, if you guys ever want to send a message to the audit team or to the corporate support team, you just check this box here. You can go into notes, and you can send messages directly to anybody on the team. And that's all I've got for now. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody out there in Zoom land? Everything makes sense? Someone give me a thumbs up. There it is. So what do you guys think?
This is really helpful. Yes.
Awesome.
Like I said, I've used it a few times now. And I learned a lot more. However, now it seems to be confused. They can't get into stuff.
Because it thinks you're the buyer calling.
Yeah.
So all you have to do, you have to just close your browser and start over.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions from anybody?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
When I shared mine with my partner, it appeared as if like every section like duplicated. Like I have 2 required fields, 2 escrow document. Does that make like all those things did it twice? Is there a way to like not have it have that?
So it duplicated all the documents.
Like all the potential documents, like all of those, like all of those sections were doubled.
Wow, that's amazing. I've never seen that before, and I have no idea how to fix it.
Okay, well, no worries. I'll just
let me do some
focus
digging.
right.
So it's all right. So it sounds like you may have applied the template twice. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and if I did that, I just wasn't paying attention and that was an accident, but I don't remember specifically like applying a template.
Hey,
I
I
just-
think I know what happened.
What?
Oh,
Because
you guys are on the same one.
I had made the same one, and I believe it was double notifying you, because I had one already in there and I had shared it with you. You had one and you shared it with me. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
That's what
I'm not worried about it. It's just annoying.
Since we've started this meeting, I actually had gone in and archived the second one, the one that you hadn't been in most
Oh,
recently.
cool. There was a bunch of information in there that I haven't pushed over yet. So
So I think that that's well,
we'll
if-
figure it out.
if one's archived, can it be unarchived?
Yes, yes, it absolutely can.
Okay, so if that's the case, we may need to do that.
So for you guys, doing being on a team, what you guys will want to do is make sure only one person creates the loop and applies the template. And then
Right.
we'll, like Angela, you create the template and then invite Megan into the
Yeah,
Which she
after-
did.
and initially we did that, except Megan hadn't quite. So when she did it, she didn't realize.
Sorry.
Oh my gosh. All right. Thank you for coming, Cynthia.
Thank you, Michael, appreciate your time.
I appreciate it.
That was very.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to see you. All right. So that's pretty much all I got for the meeting. We can, I'm still going to hang out and help out with anything that you guys need. So I'll quit the recording right now, but yeah, I'll still be here for another 30 minutes. If you guys have any questions about anything, feel free to stay on.